It was just another day at the suburban nursing home where I had committed myself for the last few decades. I was well acquainted with the hum of fluorescent lights and the sound of worn-out shoes scraping against the linoleum floors. I'm Elizabeth, a woman in my 40s with skin that carries the warmth of resilience. My thick brown shoulder-length hair frames my face, highlighting my expressive brown eyes that have seen joy and sorrow in equal measure. I've poured my heart into this nursing home, which has become more than just a job. It's my home, my community. I've built deep relationships with the elderly residents, nurturing them like my own family. I share this space daily with my husband, Andre, who has been my partner in this journey. Andre works as a night shift nursing supervisor, and I work as a day shift floor nurse. Together, we've created a nurturing environment where laughter mingles with the soft sounds of caregivers tending to those in need. However, I was unaware that turmoil was on the horizon with the arrival of a new nurse named LaQuanda. LaQuanda is striking, a young woman in her 20s with skin the color of polished mahogany and a smile that could charm the devil himself. At first, I wanted to welcome her, to embrace the fresh spirit she seemed to bring. But something made me wary about her. Underneath her radiant smile seemed to lie an ambition that cuts like a knife, threatening to disrupt the fragile peace I've fought so hard to maintain. She was young, vibrant, and confident, drawing everyone in, including me. Despite my initial wariness, I welcomed her with open arms, believing she could bring fresh energy to our team. But as the days passed, I sensed something unsettling beneath her friendly facade. Through whispered conversations, I discovered a rather twisted secret about LaQuanda. She had 3 young daughters with her live-in partner, the father of her children. Surprisingly, she didn't feel a strong attraction to him. However, she captivated him with her charm and beauty and soon fell pregnant, likely because he was a wealthy architect. After all, what woman in her right mind would pass up such a lucrative opportunity? Then came that fateful night shift, a turning point that unraveled the true nature of LaQuanda's character. When our director of nursing called me in to cover the night shift, I was taken aback to discover LaQuanda was already present. She radiated an intoxicating glow as she conversed with Andre, the night shift supervisor. He was undeniably handsome, blessed with a warm smile and an infectious laugh, and it was impossible to ignore the way her eyes sparkled with ambition and desire when she looked at him. A knot twisted in my stomach at the thought of her intentions, knowing that Andre is my husband. The realization settled heavily over me, unveiling layers of complexity I never anticipated. A bittersweet sensation washes over me as I watch LaQuanda's eyes sparkle with ambition. She vividly reflects my younger self, brimming with dreams and desires. Yet, unlike her, I've come to understand that ambition can exact a profound toll. With each passing day, I see her seamlessly weaving herself into Andre's life, a life I have devoted so many years to nurturing. It is a painful reminder that the warmth I once believed we shared is now shrouded in uncertainty. How could someone so young pose a threat to the life I've carefully built? In a fit of rage, I confronted LaQuanda, demanding she back off. Instead of fear, I saw a flicker of delight in her eyes as she played the victim. Spinning tales of my jealousy and malice, she twisted the narrative, and suddenly I was the villain in her twisted story. The other nurses rallied behind her, believing her lies, and soon the atmosphere in the nursing home shifted. I became the target of their bullying, the subject of their cruel jokes, and the recipient of their disdain. LaQuanda was relentless. She recruited more nurses to her cause, each one more willing to join her in tormenting me. They would whisper behind my back, snicker when I walked by, and make my job unbearable. The once warm and welcoming atmosphere transformed into a battlefield where I felt utterly alone. My heart sank every time I saw LaQuanda and Andre together, her laughter ringing out like a death knell in the halls. But with each passing day, I realized that the more I focused on LaQuanda, the more I lost sight of who I was. I had to find a way to rise above her manipulation, to reclaim my power. Perhaps I couldn't change the minds of my colleagues, but I could ensure that I remained true to myself no matter the cost. Just when I had summoned every ounce of strength to fight back, the worst thing imaginable happened. Anna Woods, my beloved director of nursing, my anchor in this stormy sea, announced her retirement. The news struck me like a thunderclap, reverberating through my very core. Anna had been my confidant, the one person in this nursing home who understood the weight I carried on my shoulders. Her departure felt like a betrayal, a loss that left me reeling. I could already sense the darkness creeping in, an ominous shadow that promised to engulf everything I held dear. With Anna gone, Carolyn Knowles, one of LaQuanda's new confidants, was thrust into the role of nursing director. A chill ran down my spine when I saw Carolyn's self-satisfied smirk as she took her new position. The atmosphere in the nursing home shifted, charged with an unsettling energy that hung in the air like a thick fog. I walked into my shift that morning with a growing sense of dread, my heart pounding in my chest. As I made my rounds, a gnawing sense of panic took root in my gut. The day shift nurses were nowhere to be found. My heart raced as I searched for familiar faces, only to be met with the deafening silence of the empty halls. It felt surreal. No one had informed me that all of the day shift nurses had called in sick, leaving me utterly alone on the ward to care for 75 patients. My stomach twisted in knots as the enormity of the situation crashed over me like a tidal wave. Then the bombshell fell. Every nurse on the second shift had also called in. I was trapped in a nightmare, forced to work a grueling 16-hour shift with only one nursing assistant to help me. It felt like a cruel joke, a wicked twist of fate designed to break me. I stood there, my breath hitching in my throat as the panic settled in my bones. How could I possibly care for 75 patients alone? The weight of their needs pressed down on me, suffocating and relentless. The shift dragged on like a torturous marathon, each minute a test of my endurance. I moved through the ward like a ghost, my body propelled by sheer willpower. The air was thick with the stench of antiseptic and despair, mingling with the sounds of moans and cries echoing through the halls. I felt as though I was drowning in a sea of suffering, each resident's need pulling me further under. I pushed through, but it felt like a losing battle. I had to pass medications, my hands trembling as I measured out dosages, fighting against the crushing weight of fatigue. I changed dressings, the sight of wounds opening a wellspring of sympathy and sorrow within me. I toilet residents, attending to their most intimate needs as they looked up at me with weary eyes, trusting me to care for them in their vulnerability. Each task felt monumental, a reminder of the enormity of my responsibilities. Time blurred as I moved from one patient to the next, my body screaming in protest. The relentless charting was a cruel reminder of the bureaucratic chains that bound me. Each entry felt like an anchor dragging me deeper into despair. I had no time for bathroom breaks or to eat, and my stomach twisted in hunger, gnawing at me like a feral beast. By the time my shift finally ended around 3 o'clock in the morning, I felt utterly defeated, as though I had been mercilessly beaten with a baseball bat. My muscles screamed in agony, and my mind was a foggy haze of exhaustion, each thought a struggle to grasp. I stumbled to my car, my legs trembling beneath me, each step a painful reminder of the grueling hours I had just endured. As I drove home, the weight of the night pressed down on me like a heavy shroud, suffocating my spirit. The darkness of the road ahead mirrored the turmoil in my heart, and tears prickled at the corners of my eyes. I had given everything, my energy, my compassion, my sanity, and yet I was left with nothing but a hollow ache. Every inch of my body protested as I woke up the following day. Pain radiated through me, and I could hardly bear weight on my right leg. I glanced at the clock. Andre was still at work, likely oblivious to the chaos I had endured. I reached for my cell phone, my fingers trembling as I dialed in to call off work. A wave of relief washed over me, mingled with guilt for leaving my patients to fend for themselves again. After a quick shower, the water cascading over my weary body felt like a fleeting solace. I made my way to the urgent care center, each step a reminder of my vulnerability as I entered the sterile environment filled with harsh fluorescent lights. The chill seeped into my bones, and I felt a wave of despair wash over me. Was this what my life had become? A relentless cycle of pain, exhaustion, and betrayal? As I sat in the waiting room surrounded by other weary souls, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that clung to me like a second skin. The knowledge that LaQuanda and Carolyn were likely reveling in my suffering and plotting their next move made my blood boil. I was a fighter, but beginning to feel like a soldier in a losing war. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath to steady the chaos swirling within me. I would not let them break me. I would rise from this, more determined than ever to reclaim my life, my dignity, and my place in this nursing home that had once felt like my sanctuary. This was my fight, and I would not back down. I was ready to unleash the fury that simmered beneath the surface, to show them the strength they had underestimated.